Donald Peterson presents The True Adventures of Junior G-Men.
The Junior G-Men are on the air, speeding to your homes, ready for action!
Stand by. All Junior G-Men stand by. Stand by for thrilling details of the counterfeit $20 bill. Calling all Junior G-Men. Stand by for report of Junior G-Man Joe Hagan concerning
Counterfeit $20 bill.
Report number 981, as given by Operator Joe Hagan of Jefferson.
My Aunt Ruth has a little gift shop down on Warren Street in Jefferson. And ever since vacation began, I've been working for her as a kind of errand boy. The work isn't hard, and I've enjoyed doing it. Besides, I've managed to save up quite a bit of money. Well, that'll come in handy around Christmas time. Well, one day about 3 weeks ago, a man walked in and asked to see some cigarette cases. My aunt showed him quite a few, and then...
Well, what do you want for this case?
Well, let me see. That case is, Oh, yes, $3.50.
$3.50?
That's right.
Hey, that's kind of steep, ain't it?
Not for this case. You see, it's genuine pigskin. The very finest grade.
Oh, it's all right, lady. You don't have to go into no song and dance.
I was merely trying to...
All right, forget it. I'll take the case, and you can keep the sales talk.
Very well. Joe?
Yes, ma'am?
Will you put this case in a box and wrap it up for the gentleman?
Sure thing.
Thank you. And now that'll be $3.50, please.
Okay. Here, take it out of this.
$20 bill?
Yeah, that's right, a $20 bill. What's the matter? Ain't you ever seen one before?
Oh, yes, of course. But, well, I haven't got very much change. Is this the smallest bill you have?
The smallest and the only bill I have. And I ain't got the time to wait while you send out after change.
Oh, I can change it all right. It's just that it's going to run me a little short. Just a minute. I'll get you a change.
And then after he'd taken his change in the cigarette case, the man left. About an hour later, another man came in, and he walked up to my aunt, and he said...
I'd like to speak to the owner of this store.
You're speaking to the owner.
Oh, I see.
What can I do for you?
Well, Miss
Lane.
Yes, thank you. Well, Miss Lane, my name's Garson, Larry Garson. However, this little badge will probably mean more to you than the name.
Well, I don't understand.
I'm a government investigator, Miss Lane, a G-man.
Gosh, a G-man.
Well, does that surprise you, son?
Well, not exactly, but...
I'm afraid you'll have to excuse my nephew's excitement. Mr. Garson, you see, he rather hero worships you G-men.
Oh, I see.
In fact, he's a junior G-man himself, aren't you, Joe?
Well, yes, I am, but... Gosh, Mr. Garson, are you working on a case? Is that why you're here?
Well, to be quite frank with you, son, that's exactly why I'm here.
You mean you've got something...
Well, we've had a number of complaints that seem to indicate that Jefferson is being worked by a gang of counterfeiters.
Counterfeiters?
Yeah, that's right. Good many counterfeit bills have turned up during the last week or 10 days, and, well, we're going to try to find out who's responsible.
I see.
Now, Miss Lane.
Yes?
Have you any complaints to make? That is, have you received any of these counterfeit bills?
I don't think so. All my cash deposits have been accepted at the bank, and
I see. Well, you've been very fortunate. However, it might be wise to be a little careful about accepting any bills of the larger denominations.
Such as...
Well, such as 50s, 20s, 10s, and...
I see. And just how can you tell whether or not a bill is counterfeit?
Well, there are several ways. Too many, in fact, to mention. That's why the department's prepared a circular describing these various methods in detail. You should receive one of these before very long. However, if you happen to have any of the larger bills on hand, I'd be glad to look them over for you. Perhaps I can point out a few things about them that will, well, always help you to distinguish between a good and a bad bill.
Well, that's very nice of you, I'm sure. Now, if you just wait a second, I'll have a look in the cash register.
All right.
I know I have 120, and I'm almost sure that there are 2 or 3 10s.
Well, just bring them on, and we'll have a look at them.
Say, Mr. Garson.
Yes, what is it?
Have you any real hot leads or
Oh, not yet, son. These fellows have been very careful and unusually clever. Oh, well, we'll catch up with them sooner or later, and then when we do,
Here you are, Mr. Garson, 2 10s and a 20.
Oh, yes. Well, I'll have a look at them. Now, let me see here. Now, this one seems to be all right. Perfectly all right. And this one. Yeah. This is okay, too. As good as gold.
How about the 20?
Give Mr. Garson a chance to look at it, Joe.
Oh, it's all right. Oh, say, what's this?
What's the matter?
This 20 doesn't look so good. In fact, it looks pretty bad. Just a second till I check it up against my list.
Well, you don't mean... Well, you can't mean that it's counterfeit.
Well, I'm afraid it is, Miss Lane. However, I'll make sure. As soon as I check the serial number against this list of mine, I'll, just a moment, please. Yeah? Yeah, just as I thought.
You mean...
Yes, it's counterfeit, all right. See? See, it's right on my list here. There's the number that checks with the bill you've just given me. It's 20. I'm sorry, Miss Lane.
But this is awful. $20 means a great deal to me, and...
Yes, I can believe that. In fact, there aren't very many people who can afford to lose $20 and just let it go at that. Which I could promise you that you'll get it back, but I can't. As it is, I'll have to turn this bill into headquarters as evidence. You understand that, of course.
Of course.
Well, I'll give you a receipt for it. And if we're fortunate enough to catch these fellows and they're able to make good, perhaps you'll get some of your money back.
I certainly hope so.
Now, do you remember who gave you this 20?
Yes, I do. I remember him very clearly.
Oh, it was a man, then.
Yes, and now that I know he's a criminal, I can understand his being so rude.
Can you describe him?
I believe I can. Now, let me see. He was rather tall, about your height, but a good deal heavier, and he had dark brown hair.
That night on my way home, I met Detective Sergeant Kane, a friend of my dad's. I walked with him part of the way and told him what had happened that afternoon. He seemed to be pretty interested, and after I'd finished the story...
And your aunt let this G-man have the $20?
Oh, sure. Of course he gave her a receipt for it, and...
Oh, of course. However, I'm afraid that receipt is just about worthless.
What do you mean?
Well, I'm afraid your aunt has been the victim of a racket. In other words, I don't believe that fellow Golson was a G-man.
You don't believe he... Oh, gosh, he showed us his badge and
Get
everything.
a good look at it.
Well, no. He only flashed it for a second, but it looked like the real thing.
Of course it did. But I'll bet it wasn't the real thing. Now, look, Joe. If there were any G-men in town working on any such counterfeiting cases as this fellow Golson mentioned, we'd know about it down at headquarters, now wouldn't we?
Well, yes, I suppose so.
Well, there you are. Now, I haven't heard a single word concerning anything like this until now. And that's why I'm convinced that it's just a racket.
But how does it work?
Very simply. And it's apparently quite successful. Now, look. We'll trace the whole thing step by step right from the beginning. In the first place, a man walks into a store, buys something, and pays for it with a...
With a $20 bill with it, which is a counterfeit.
Oh, no. Now, that's where you're all wrong. The bill in question is perfectly all right. It's got to be. You see, those fellows can't afford to take any chances.
But I don't understand how they do it.
Now, wait. Shortly after the first man has left the store, another man walks in, tells the shopkeeper that he's a G-man, and goes into that counterfeiting gag. He manages to worry the shopkeeper into letting him examine the large bills in the cash register. Now, this racketeering rat has a list of numbers, and among those numbers is one that checks with the bill passed by his partner.
The first man?
Yes, the first man. They, of course, had the whole thing framed.
I'm beginning to see. They get their own $20 bill back.
Of course they do. The phony G-man claims it as evidence and gives the shopkeeper a worthless receipt. And the profit? Well, figure it out for yourself.
They get whatever was bought and the change from the $20 bill.
Exactly.
Gosh, what a racket.
Yep, it's quite a racket. Of course, it's just possible that this particular case is really on the level, but I doubt it. However, I'll check on it to make sure, and I'll let you know the first thing in the morning. Then, if it is a case of racketeering, we'll see what we can do about it. In the meantime, I'm going to ask you to describe those men, and then I'll take a run.
And the next morning, Detective Sergeant Kane dropped into the store and told us that the whole thing was really a racket, that it had been successfully worked on several other shopkeepers. Of course, we gave him all the information we could, and then he left. Well, that afternoon, as I was making a delivery on the west side of town, I got the surprise of my life. Just as I turned into Barclay Street, whom do I see but the man who bought the pigskin cigarette case. He'd just come out of Tony's fruit store and was heading my way. I ducked into an alley and waited till he passed. Then after he was out of sight, I beat it down to Tony's store, rushed in and spoke.
Oh, hello, Joey. How's the younger fellow?
Tony, that man. That fellow had just left.
Oh, him. He's the one, a fresh guy.
Yeah, sure he is, but... Well, listen, Tony. He bought something, didn't he?
Yeah, sure, he's to buy some things. But what do you think he's to come to my store,
He paid for it with a $20 bill, too, didn't he?
Yeah, sure. Say, 1 minute, sir, please. How come you know he paid with a $20 bill, huh?
Because he... But listen, Tony, I can't explain now. We've got to call the police before the other fellow gets here.
Hey, something she's all wrong, huh?
Yeah, something's all wrong. But we can make it all right. Now, look. You let me call the police, and then after I've done that, you can ask me all the questions you want, and I'll answer them. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure, I suppose so. I don't know what this is all about, but if you got to call the cops, we call the cops. Go ahead. The phone, she's there in the back of the store. You just to help yourself.
So I called the police and told them what had happened. Detective Sergeant Kane happened to be there at the time, and he promised to come right over. Then after I'd explained the whole story to Tony, I left and went back to my aunt's store. I'd only been gone about 10 minutes when Sergeant Kane and Detective Moran arrived. Tony let them hide in the room of the back store, and after a little while...
You the owner of this store?
Yeah, sure, I'm him.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Garson's the name. Government investigator.
Hey, 1 minute, sir, please. What's this business, government investigation?
I'm a G-man. Does that explain things?
Oh, sure, that explains everything. That makes a bigger difference. You got what you call them, you got them a badges?
Oh, sure. Yeah, take a squint. Satisfied?
Oh, sure, I'm satisfied. You got a badge, all right. Just like
All right, fella. I'll take a look at that badge.
Hey, what's this? Where'd you guys come from?
What difference does that make? Keep him covered, Moran.
Sure thing, Sergeant.
Now, wait a minute. Just what do you guys think you're doing?
That's exactly what I was going to ask you. Now, if you don't mind, I'll take a look at that badge.
Oh, you're all steamed up, ain't you? And you ain't got any reason to be.
Oh, no?
No, you see, this badge ain't the real McCoy. It's a phony. The whole thing was just a gag. I want to throw a scare into this guy.
Now, isn't that a coincidence?
Now, what do you mean?
I know a guy who's going to throw a scare into you, a judge, when he pronounces a sentence on you. You're going to be scared silly. But we're wasting time. Come on, let's get going.
And after a couple of hours of questioning, the counterfeit G-man finally broke down, named his partner, and made a complete confession. It was quite a racket while it lasted, but like all rackets, it was carried a little too far, and that was the end of it.
Stand by. All junior G-men, stand by. Stand by for thrilling details concerning the next broadcast. Calling all junior G-men to proceed at once to points of duty. Calling junior G-man Eddie Green to report to Director Donald Peterson at the next meeting on this station to give detailed report concerning...
The jigsaw puzzle.